This is a story of a pioneer who started a revolution and trillion-dollar industry, but totally missed out the opportunity to be a billionaire. Let's go back to mid-1970s. In the not-so-digital desert of Albuquerque, New Mexico, a man named Ed Roberts decided he had had enough of being a regular old Air Force engineer. He wanted to become something more, an entrepreneur. So in 1969, Roberts and his buddies started a little company called MITS, short for Micro Instrumentation and Telemetry Systems. A name so long you'd need a calculator just to count the syllables. Luckily, calculators were exactly where their story began. MITS started its journey building fancy-schmancy telemetry kits for model rockets. Yes, kids, nerds ruled even back then. But when it turned out that people were more interested in calculating their bills than launching rockets, MITS pivoted to electronic calculators. The pivot worked. They sold these calculators like hotcakes, the 1970s equivalent of a TikTok trend. But success is a double-edged sword, and soon bigger companies like Texas Instruments decided to crash the party. They slashed calculator prices, turning MIT's profits into, well, nothing. Poor Ed was buried in debt, and the company looked like it was heading for the scrapyard of failed dreams. Facing imminent doom, Ed Roberts did what every great entrepreneur does. He gambled big. Inspired by the idea of a personal computer, a radical concept at the time, MITS set out to create one. The result? The Altair 8800, a computer kit that looked less like a computer and more like something you'd find in your dad's garage. The Altair 8800 launched in 1975, and to everyone's surprise, it didn't just flop, it soared. Why? Because of an article in Popular Electronics that called it the world's first mini-computer kit to rival commercial models. People went bananas. Tech enthusiasts couldn't order it fast enough, even if it meant soldering hundreds of components themselves. Geek paradise. Now here's where things get spicy. Two young nerds named Bill Gates and Paul Allen, who were tinkering with computers in Harvard Computer Lab, saw the Altair and thought, we can write software for this thing. They called Ed Roberts, and after some fast talking, ended up creating a version of basic computer language for the Altair. Spoiler alert, these two would go on to do pretty well for themselves, founding a little company called Microsoft. MIT's became the epicenter of the early personal computer revolution. Hobbyists flocked to buy the Altair, forming user groups like the famous Homebrew Computer Club. Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak were even inspired by this scene. Without MIT's, the Apple I might have stayed a pipe dream. Success, however, was fleeting. As the personal computer industry exploded, competition grew fiercer. MIT's struggled to keep up. Larger companies entered the scene, and suddenly MIT's wasn't the only game in town. By 1977, Ed Roberts decided he'd had enough of the tech world. He sold MIT's to Pertec, a company that somehow managed to make the Altair vanish into oblivion. Ed Roberts didn't retire to a beach house or buy a yacht, though. Instead, he went back to school, became a doctor, and spent the rest of his life practicing medicine. Yes, the man who kickstarted the personal computer revolution became a small-town physician. Talk about plot twists. MIT's may have been a short-lived chapter in tech history, but its legacy is huge. It showed the world that personal computers weren't just a sci-fi fantasy. It inspired a generation of tech pioneers, including the creators of Microsoft, Apple, and countless others. So, the next time you fire up your laptop, pour one out for MIT's, the scrappy little company that put personal in personal computing, and Ed Roberts, a pioneer that gave the world its first taste of nerdy glory.